Okay. So again, thank you so much for joining this evening. Strategy planning for revenue growth in 2024. This discussion tonight, I know is of interest to a lot of folks, right? When we're closing out a year, we're getting ready to start a new year. What strategies do we look at, for the new year? And this discussion tonight will, just provide some insight into what business owners, entrepreneurs, regardless of where you are in the life cycle, whether you're a year into starting your business, 2 years, 5 years, and so on, what strategies do we apply, going into the new year? My name is Austin Thompson. I'm the owner of Thompson Management Consulting, been around for almost 15 years. And I work closely with small business owners, entrepreneurs, new launches, pre-startups, you name it. And my goal is to take the entrepreneur through business planning, take the entrepreneur through strategy planning, through marketing, and anything that a small business owner would need in order to grow successfully in a business, to start successfully, grow successfully, expand successfully. I collaborate with the SBA, SBDC, local chambers, and this virtual workshop that we're doing tonight is sort of an extension of the virtual webinars I've been doing since COVID. For the past 10 years, I've been organizing an actual in-person conference up until 2019, a full conference. And since 2020, we've gone virtually, looking to probably go back into an in-person model next year or so. So I definitely want to thank you all for your support, and thank you for joining tonight and being a part of this discussion. So as I go through the slides, I just want you to know that this is very impersonal. So it's very impersonal. It's very interactive as well. So please feel free to ask questions. There is a Q&A part at the end of the presentation, but please feel free to ask questions as we go through. And this way, we'll know exactly what's expected of us as business owners as we go through. All right. So I'll just go ahead and get started on the presentation. Okay, so tonight we'll be discussing some key points, settings, and everybody can see the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what's wrong with my screen, but yeah, as long as you can see the presentation and hear me and see me, that's great. So we'll go through it. So setting SMART goals. Know where you're headed, and basically you use goals to set and guide you along building your strategy and growing into the new year, right? So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-specific goals that will serve as your guide. So definitely, as you begin to plan for the new year's, set your goals, right? We're going to go through that. All right. Strategy planning, get it written and for execution, right? Always start with a plan. Always go into the new year with a plan. Never start a new year without a plan for growing beyond the current year. Now, many of you, if not all of you, will have a business plan or should have a business plan written for 3 to 5 years. But if you don't have a business plan written and you're going into a new year, it is really to your benefit to have a strategy plan or some sort of action plan going into the new year. So get it written for execution. Marketing strategies, plan for increased exposure, right? If the market doesn't know you exist, if your intended target market doesn't know you exist, they can't do business with you, right? So the market has to know you exist. Market exposure is key for growing your revenues, right? Without increased customers, chances are you won't have increased revenues. Without the market knowing that you're offering additional services and additional product lines, chances are you're going to have restricted revenues because you're not letting your market know that you exist. You're not letting them know that you have new product lines and new services, right? The role of the SWOT, identifying your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And yes, a SWOT analysis is essential to growing revenues because as we identify strengths, we also have to identify those weaknesses that that restrict us or constrict us from moving forward and growing as successfully as we need, and identifying those opportunities and threats, right? So we're going to take a look at SWOT analysis and talk about that during this presentation as well, because a lot of people don't realize doing a SWOT analysis really helps you grow revenues and grow as a business, because you really need to move away from those weaknesses. You really need to grow your strengths by leveraging what keeps you weak, what makes you not compete, right? The way you should be competing, right? And restricts your competitive advantage. So we definitely want to look at that. The economic analysis, what is the economic outlook? Understanding what the economy looks like. Sometimes when we take a look at the economy, when we look at the economy, right? When we see what's going on, are people spending, right? What is the unemployment rate? If there are more people unemployed and more companies laying off, that's less money, less disposable income in the economic cycle, right? In the economy. So if you're looking at a certain target market and employees are laying off, employers are laying off employees, then that's taking money out of the economy. That's taking disposable income out of the economy. So we're going to talk about doing an economic analysis and looking at doing the economic outlook. Headcount, analyzing your staffing needs, right? It's very important to analyze staffing needs and look at key employees or contractors. Growing revenues, having the opportunity to incur greater amounts of revenue, your headcount, or having key personnel working with you, especially for those of us who are micro business models. We were operating a business with less than 5 people, or we might be solo entrepreneurs, right? We're managing and running the business by ourselves, right? So it's important for us to really understand that adding additional employees or adding an employee, subcontracting out certain functions will help us grow revenue, because it gives us greater bandwidth now to get those key people in place to generate greater revenue. Okay. We're also going to be looking at technology planning, review and upgrading technology. Is the technology we're currently working on restricting us? All right. Software is outdated. Technology, we're doing a lot of manual process, so it's not really automated. So we're going to be looking at, we're going to have a discussion on technology planning, right? Is that restricting us? Networking, exposure, right? Just as it is important to locate your business in an area where people can easily find it, it is also important to locate yourself in the right setting to give yourself the exposure that you need so people can find you, right? And people can understand what you do, to have a conversation with you, learn what you do, learn what you're about, the services and products you offer. And you can build business relationships. You can build collaborations, right? It's not only about finding clients, finding customers, but it's also about, finding people with whom you can collaborate in order to grow revenues, because we're all about growing revenues in 2024. We're all about revenue growth. We're all about expanding our bandwidth to grow as much revenue as we can, because we're still moving away from COVID. We're moving into the 4th year away from COVID into 2024. And I know for our small business community, we're still, a lot of us still feel the effects of COVID and having to close our businesses. We saw a drastic reduction in customers. So this is important for us to get out there and expose ourselves to people, right? Sales, right? After you expose yourself, after you're exposing yourself to potential clients and getting the exposure you need, now capture the client, right? Make the sale, get the sale. That's equally as important, right? And then we're going to look at finances. Prepare your projections. Projections are key. As I tell any business, if you're not doing any projections, determining your revenues, determining sales, what your expenses are looking like, understanding your profitability, and your ability to maintain working capital, right? You're really setting yourself up for disappointment in your business because you really need to understand month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, how you're growing as a business and doing the financial analysis will really assist you in understanding where your business is going, right? All right. And again, we're gonna go through the presentation and the discussion. So please feel free to let me know that you have a question or so on and so forth. And I can't see I can't see everyone. So please unmute your mic and just say, hey, I have a question, right? But for now, just kind of mute all your mics so this way I can go through the presentation. But just if you have a question, just unmute it and let me know. All right. So revenue goals for 2024. What are your revenues for 2023? Right. And again, how many people if I was in a room, I would ask questions and I would have people raise their hand and I would have a one-on-one conversation or one-on-two or so on and so forth. How many people have actually done a P&L for 2023? If you've done a P&L, if you're doing P&Ls for your business, great. If you're doing financial reporting for your business, great. If you're understanding, because there are a lot of businesses who are doing business based off of invoices and bank statements, right? And they're not actually putting their finances onto a profit and loss statement where they can clearly see their revenues and expenses, all right? So before you go into projecting and doing a pro forma for 2024, you have to understand where your revenues are for 2023. What was your revenue growth, right? What did it look like from month to month, all right? Where did you have a period where you were on the incline or a decline based on the market, based on the ability to build relationships with customers, grow your customer base. So first, before you can project your revenues for 2024, we got to understand what our revenues are for 2023, revenues and expenses for 2023, right? So for those of you who have not done a profit and loss statement for 2023, I would suggest you do a 2023 profit and loss statement. Understand what your revenues are. You have receipts, you have invoices, you have quotes that you've sent out, any which way in which you have captured that data, right? Put it onto a P&L. So before you prepare for 2024, we have time. It's only the 13th of December. So we have time. I know everybody's busy doing their Christmas shopping and preparing for family coming into town, but it's important for us to really understand the revenue performance of a business, right? And your expenses. Are you overspending? Are you underspending, right? So we're gonna go through and look at some other things too. Assess whether you are positive and negative, whether you're growing or whether you have a deficit in revenues with your 2023 revenue goals, right? You may have had goals coming from 2022 into 2023 where those revenue goals met, right? If they were not met, why weren't they met? Were you understaffed? You didn't invest in enough capital in growing your business. You didn't do enough marketing because marketing precedes sales. You got to market to the company, to your clients, and to the market, right, before you can start making a sale. Because again, the market has to know you exist, right? And what are your revenue goals for 2024? Then now you're setting your goals for 2024 based on the current year and maybe the previous 1 or 2 years, right? So now you're looking at 2024 and say, hey, I want to grow my revenues. I want to be able to capture more revenue for my business. I want to see more success for my business. So now you're looking at goals that you will set to generate those revenues or to realize that revenue growth in 2024. All right. And we're going to have that discussion. So considerations for your strategy plan. I want you guys to consider this, right? As you prepare for your strategy plan, right? Because we're all about planning. We're responsible entrepreneurs. We're responsible businessmen and women, right? We are about planning, right? And if you do business with me, or if you're dealing with me, you know I'm a planner. I've got to plan everything, right? I've got to know what to expect down the line, right? So revisit your company's vision and mission statement. That's where you should begin, right? If you created a vision and mission statement for your business, right? Revision that, because the goals you set for 2024 and the goals you have set since you started your business should all align with the vision and the mission of your business, right? The vision is when someone asks you, what is the vision? Where do you see your business? It's more long-term, right? The vision is more long-term. It's a statement that's framed around your long-term outlook for the business that you're creating. Your mission is the purpose, the reason why you are in business, right? So your goals, the goals that you're setting, should align with the mission and the vision of your business, because without a vision, without you seeing it, it's not going to be realized, right? Without you seeing it, you're not going to capture that success, right? You have to see it. You have to visualize it. And then now take it from vision. And then from vision, you put it into a plan, right? You put it into a plan and your mission and your vision. And then from the mission, your vision, now you create the goals, right? So you're creating your goals for 2024, right? For each goal, what are the objectives for achieving the set of goals, right? What objectives are you putting in place to achieve each goal, right? Each goal should have its own objectives, right? And we're going to go through that. We're going to go through some examples on that, right? What will be your strategy for achieving that goal, right? You got to have strategy. You have to have a process in place. You have to have a method. They say, create a method to the madness, right? Create a method and a pathway to achieving success for yourself, right? So now you have to strategize, right? What method will you use to quantify whether you are achieving or falling short of your goals, right? So all your goals, all the goals that you create for your business, and I recommend anywhere from 4 to 5 goals, 4 to 5 SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time specific, right? So when you're quantifying, but now it's time for you to measure. Because you have to really determine if you're succeeding and achieving those goals. So what you want to do is make your goal measurable, right? And we're going to go through that, right? I'm going to show you how you do that, right? You want to make your goals measurable, because it's one thing to set goals, but it's another thing not to know if you're actually succeeding in achieving those goals or not, right? So you want to make your goals achievable, right? Scheduling and setting a timeline with specific dates. All right. So that's the other thing that we're going to talk about. So here's an example. Here's a SMART goal example number 1, right? So let's say, for instance, as a business owner, you're looking at a 25% increase in revenue per quarter. So every quarter, based on, you're looking at, okay, so let's say from January, February, March, right? That's quarter 1. That's Q1. You're looking at the last 3 quarters of 2023. And this is why it's important for us to always do our P&Ls, right? Our profit and loss statements. You're looking at your revenues from October, November, December, right? So at December 31st, you're looking at, okay, I generated over $200,000 for 2023, right? So 25%, you want 25% from the last quarter of the previous year. you want the first quarter of the succeeding year, you want the revenues from that 3-month period to grow 25% more than the last 3 months of the previous year, right? Or Q4 from the previous year, right? So you want to grow at 25% more. The objective now, right? So you set the goal, show a 25% increase in revenue per quarter in 2024. So the objective now is an overall 100% increase in revenue from January 1st to December 31st, right? Because you're looking at 25% increase every month, right? For 4 quarters every month, right? Every quarter, 25% every quarter increase in revenues, right? Up until December 31st, 2024, right? So you want your revenues to grow 100% more than the previous year. And if you're growing it 100% more, you're looking at a $400,000 in revenue by the end of 2024, right? So you want to be able to measure it. So when you state 25% increase or 100% increase, or you state a number, right? You're able to go back now and track and make sure that when you measure, when you begin to quantify, you're looking back now, hey, maybe I fell short Q1, right? Maybe I only achieved 10% revenue increase in that first quarter, right? So I got to make that 15% up throughout the rest of the year so I can realize 100% revenue by the end of the year, right? So you got to set these goals. You got to set numbers that will allow you to go back and measure whether you're falling short or you are achieving your goals, right? Now, the strategy that you're putting in place for this goal, increase social media promotions, right? If I increase my social media promotions and increase my trade show attendance, I'm giving myself an opportunity to expose my business. I'm giving my business greater exposure, right? With the social media promotions and the trade shows, right? So that will enable me to achieve 100% revenue, more revenue by the end of 2024 than I realized by the end of this year, 2023, right? So that's a strategy. Somebody say, hey, so how are you going to do that? What's your strategy for doing that? Well, I'm going to increase my social media promotions, and I'm going to attend more trade shows this year. So I should see a revenue increase, right? And you could use this. You could definitely use something like this, right? A metric. Weekly reviews of your P&L. And again, you got to have a profit and loss statement, right? Weekly review of your P&L to track revenue progress from projections, right? And a timeline. Schedule your first social media campaign release by January 15, 2024. All right. So you're determining how you're going to measure it, right? You're going to do weekly reviews of your P&L, and you're going to track revenues, right? You're going to track those revenues to make sure that I am achieving my revenue goals that I've set for the year, right? And also the timeline. What would be the timeline? Basically, schedule your first social media campaign release by January 15, 2024, right? This is just one example. So I just wanted to give you this one example. So here's SMART goal example number 2, right? Your goal, another goal is to realize 100% revenue growth in 2024 with new marketing campaigns. So now you're not just, one goal states, hey, I want to realize 25% revenue growth every quarter, right? This goal now, goal number 2, you're saying, hey, I want to use marketing campaigns, right, to grow my revenue by 100%, right? So you're putting a marketing focus on this goal, all right? So the objective is grow our investment in digital marketing, right? Because you realize, hey, digital marketing is where it's at. You get greater exposure and greater reach by marketing on digital platforms, right? Using digital technology to market your business and promote your business, expose yourself, right? The strategy is capitalizing on Facebook ads and video to promote our products, right? So the strategy to achieving that goal and realizing that objective is you're going to do Facebook ads. You're going to invest more in Facebook ads. You're going to invest more in video, right? To capture that audience, right? Or capture a greater number of your target market, right? The metric, how you're going to measure if you're successful or not, you're going to track your monthly ad spend, right? How much are you spending monthly, right, on those digital ads, on those video ads to capture the market, right? And to determine your quarterly ROI, your return on investment, right? Because you want to track it. You want to track it because you don't want to you don't want to overspend and you don't want to underspend, right? But you want to spend just enough, right? To make sure that you're capturing the numbers in your market, right? New customers, you're building on your existing customers that you've already attracted to your business, right? Now it's probably, the old adage is it costs less to market to an existing client than it does to market to a new client. But what we want to do is to make sure that we are targeting new clients, because we always want to attract new clients to our business, right? And the timeline would be finalizing the marketing plan by January 15th. So when you finalize the marketing plan by January 15th, that allows you now to incorporate all of your strategies for your marketing for the year of 2024 to realize your overall goal of 100% revenue, 100% more in revenue in 2024 than you realized in 2023. All right, everybody still with me?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. So building your 2024 strategy plan, right? What is it? What does it include, right? What is it? What is it really for, right? Do I really need to put all that effort into building my plan for 2024? Yes, you do. All right. Your strategy plan incorporates strategies for implementation in 2024. It incorporates, the reason why you do it is to incorporate all your strategies for execution in 2024, right? Actions are based on identified and executable SMART goals, right? So you start with understanding your mission, your vision, and then identifying 4 to 5 SMART goals, right, for execution. Because now once you set your goals, you're going to execute, right? Your goals, your objectives, your strategies, your metrics, and your timeline are all going to be part of your plan. And that's what you're going to build your strategy off of, okay? It also serves as your guide for the current year and benchmark for the following year, right? So it's your guide that when you build your plan for 2024, right? What you're going to do at the end of 2024, you're going to look at that plan and you're going to look back at everything that you have incorporated into your plan, right? Everything, all the strategies, the ways you measured, how you're going to be successful, your timeline, everything. And that plan will be the benchmark for 2025, right? So when you finish at the end of 2024, you're using that 2024 plan now to build off of that plan for 2025, right? Because you want to be able to now start planning for 2025. So you're using that document that you've created, right? And the end result is to build a strategy plan on what actions you will implement to grow revenue for the year. That's the end goal, right? That's the end result, is you want to be able to, you want to do the due diligence of planning. You want to incorporate everything into that plan. You want to create good, strong, SMART goals that you can grow off of for 2024. All right? Okay. So part of the strategy plan for 2024 would be effective marketing, right? Key marketing considerations, right? So what are you looking at as key marketing considerations? Carefully identify your target market. Carefully identify who you're targeting, right, for your product or your services. Okay? Who are you targeting? Who will most likely buy from you? Right? So that's what you're looking at, right? So you're carefully identifying the market. What digital or social media platforms will you consider? Right? Would it be Facebook ads? Would it be Instagram? Would it be LinkedIn? Are you going to do TikTok for video or YouTube? You're looking at all these digital and social media platforms on which you're going to market and promote your business, your product and services, right? Traditional marketing still works. Traditional marketing, like brochures and business cards, and when you go to trade shows, you're going to have your table cover, you're going to have your pull-up banner, you're going to have brochures and business cards and other types of material for handing out to people, right? So you got your digital form, and then now you have your traditional form of marketing. You can also do newsletters, right? You can also promote yourself in various publications, right? As I even for me, when I'm marketing, I'm putting QR codes on everything now, right? Make sure you put a QR code on everything, so that when you're giving your material to someone, they can easily scan it, right? They can easily scan it and go directly to your website, right? This is in addition to your business card, but they can scan it. Make sure you have QR codes on everything, okay? Review your CRM system and process, your customer relations management. How are you building relationships with your customers? Your CRM must be able to create loyal, committed customers, right? Are you doing enough to keep and retain your clients? Or are they looking at your competitors, or are they looking to go elsewhere, right? So build your CRM plan, understand what it is, ask and talk to your clients, talk to your customers. What made you do business with me? What made you come through the door? How did you find me, right? Are there any competitors out there that you would probably do business with? And if you didn't go to them, what is it about me and my business that brought you to me, right? You got to ask those questions, and because it's good to find out, it's good to gauge where people's thinking are, right? The website and SEO optimization, make sure your website is always up to date. Maybe make sure that it's viewable. Make sure that with the search engine optimization, once you Google your business, it comes up in that first page. And as someone looking, let's say for instance, if you are a financial analyst, and let's say if you're in Decatur, and someone Googles financial analyst in Decatur, your company comes up on that first search query, right? So make sure your optimization, make sure you have the keywords that are needed. So when folks query financial analyst, financials, financial advisement, revenue projections, or whatever, your webmaster, your web designer will work with you on the search engine optimization to make sure you have all those keywords in there. Remember, all these things will help you grow revenue, right? And the more you do it and the more you plan and strategize, the greater your revenue realization will be, right? So you want to give yourself every opportunity to grow revenue, right? Okay. Digital marketing trends. Now, we've heard a lot about AI and artificial intelligence. I've been following this for a while. I've actually had the opportunity to sit in a 1-hour workshop, but I myself am looking to expand my horizons on AI and how I and my clients can capitalize on artificial intelligence for marketing, right? AI, artificial intelligence, is gaining ground, right? It's gaining ground. And as much as we may think that traditional marketing or doing marketing in a traditional manner is doing much for us, imagine having algorithms written and technology that helps you enhance your marketing experience, right? So with artificial intelligence, using algorithms which studies data to make decisions that impact your marketing campaign, right? So you have these algorithms with steps and processes and instructions that will give you a better advantage at marketing, right? And marketing your business, right? It looks at demographics. It has the ability, artificial intelligence has the ability to look at demographics far greater than we as human beings can, right? Because these are the instructions that are programmed into the artificial intelligence infrastructure, right? Purchasing behavior and habits, right? Because we always want to study the purchasing behavior and habits of our target market. What are they buying? Where are they buying it from? Are they shopping online, right? Are they still going into a bricks and mortar to purchase their items, right? So we always want to study the purchasing habits and behaviors of our clients, right? Are they purchasing the key products they want to purchase, or are they purchasing substitutes, right? Um, we want to do that. Online shopping patterns, that's supposed to be patterns. Consumer trends, we want to look at consumer trends. Are consumers buying? If they're buying, are they buying in large numbers, right? Is there a lot of money in the economy, right? Is there a lot of disposable income circulating in the economy? This past Thanksgiving, because we have the Christmas season shopping, the shopping season, and usually starts from now. It's starting all the way from after Labor Day, and increases after Halloween. And as you go into Thanksgiving, you see more people spending money, right? But the report stated that not a lot of people were shopping this holiday season so far. So because Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday always breaks records year after year after year. But for some reason this year, whether people are hesitating, whether they're saying, okay, they're gonna shop later this year rather than start earlier. Retail outlets really didn't see the revenue this year as much as they've seen it in previous years, right? So, and we have to imagine the economy, unemployment is now down around 3.1, 3.2%. So we have, many people who've been laid off back out. We're seeing unemployment numbers prior to COVID. We're seeing employment numbers that we saw prior to COVID. So there should be a higher level or a higher amounts of disposable income in the economy than it was in 2020 and 2021. But somehow people are still slow to spend, right? Also, AI allows for more efficient market segmentation, right? Segmentation is how you segment your market. Let's say, for instance, if you're targeting if you're a clothing designer, right? You might specialize in men's clothing, right? In men's clothing now, you might specialize in boys, where anywhere from maybe 10 to 21 years of age. So you're designing clothing for boys and young men, or you have adult men, or you might just do casuals, or you might just do business attire. So you're segmenting that market, men who are looking for designer clothes, right? Boys and young men who are looking for designer clothes, right? So your segment is professional wear, casual wear, sporting wear. Those are segments within the male designer market, right? So you have to learn how to just segment it. AI does it at a far greater number and much faster than we as humans can. So there's another reason why artificial intelligence is gaining ground rapidly, right? Machine intelligence analyzes data at greater paths than what human intelligence can reach, as I stated, right? So think how leveraging these resources can help grow revenues, right? If you're looking for marketing strategies, find the AI resources that will help you understand your market and how to reach your market in larger numbers and at far greater depths than you yourself can. All right. Okay. All right. So the competitive analysis, right? We're going to look at the SWOT analysis. So understanding what our competitors are doing, right? And it's okay. It's healthy to look at what your competitors are doing. I know some people would say, and I've even heard entrepreneurs say this, I'm not worried about what my competitor is doing. I'm just focused on what we need to do. No. You also need to analyze what your competitors are doing, what technologies they're using, what pricing models they're using, the way in which they're reaching their customers, who is shopping with them. And you want to basically keep up with what your competitors are doing. Why? Because you want to make sure that you're capitalizing on the strategies, technologies, the methodologies, whatever your clients are doing, your competitors are doing. You want to make sure that you're keeping pace. because you want to make sure that you give yourself every possible chance to remain competitive, to remain relevant, to stay in demand with your target market, right? And to capture as much market share as you can as a business owner, right? So identify 3 to 4 local competitors. Identify 3 to 4 local competitors that you want to analyze, right? And your competitors are local to you, right? In your local city, state, county, you name it, right? Are you creating an advantage over your competitors? What advantage are you creating for yourself that outweighs the advantage or outweighs what your competitor is doing that's going to drive or reroute that competitor, that client or that customer to your business? Because growing your competitiveness is key to attracting new clients, and it's key to really keeping loyal, committed clients working with you. And once you have customers that are committed and loyal to you, they're not going to leave you and go to a competitor unless, you know, maybe your product or your service becomes inferior, or somehow you've caused some sort of displeasure, or your customer had a displeasing experience with you. But other than that, if you keep a loyal and committed customer, they're not going to leave you, right? Have you clearly set what differentiates you from your competitor, right? What differentiates you, right? Are you offering a greater service, a superior service, or a superior product to your competitor, right? Is the technology you're using allowing you to meet the deliverables of your competitor at a faster rate, right? Meet the deliverable of your customer at a faster rate than your competitor, right? So you always have to analyze. This is why I say, don't say that you don't watch your competitors, you're only focused on what you're doing. No, no, no. Pay attention to what your competitors are doing, right? Because you want to be able to make sure that you're capturing those customers from them. If you are providing a superior service or product, and the customer service model is greater, then folks are going to stay with you, right? Why should someone do business with you? Understand your value proposition, right? Again, we're all about growing revenues in 2024, right? And not just 2024, we're about growing revenues in general, right? But for the purpose of this discussion, we're looking at strategy planning for revenue growth in 2024, right? So looking at your competitors and trying to stay steps ahead of your competitors and capturing those customers and retaining those customer retention, and claiming new customers. This all will help you, because the more customers you have doing business with you, the greater revenue you're going to realize, right, in 2024. So we want to make sure you're doing that. And your value proposition is just basically what you do best, right? Someone says, what is your value proposition? You know, and my value proposition is, this is what I do, and this is what I do better than anyone else, right? And are you clearly standing out? Are you clearly standing out based on what your competitors are doing, right? So you got to analyze what the competitors are doing to determine if you're clearly standing out from the crowd, okay? All right, now we come to the SWOT analysis. All right, this is one of the key exercises I do with a lot of small businesses, especially whether it's nonprofit, for-profit, whether it's a business of 2 individuals or a business of 30, 40, 50 individuals. I'm doing this with my clients. Every year we do a SWOT analysis. I do a SWOT analysis with them. And with the SWOT analysis, basically, what strengths can you identify? Well, what are you doing that's better than your competitor, right? What do we do well? That's what you're looking at. What is it we do well? What are your strengths, right? Do you think these strengths give you a competitive advantage, right? Because your strengths should give you a competitive advantage over your competitor, right? And again, are these strengths going to help me grow my revenues in 2024? That's the key. That's what we're looking at. So we want to be able to determine if what we do well, what we are doing well right now, would that help us generate the revenues we want to generate in 2024, right? And just as we look at our strengths, we have to look at our weaknesses, right? Because we all have weaknesses. I know I do. And I'm always analyzing what I can do better, what I'm not doing well now, what will increase my competitiveness, right? So what are your weaknesses? What is it that you're not doing well as a company or as an organization or as an entrepreneur, right? What must you do to convert these weaknesses to strengths? What are some of the things we have to do? Do we have to improve our technology, right? Do we have to get a certification in a particular area? Because if we don't have this certification, we can't operate in this space. But our competitors are already certified and they have the upper hand and they have the advantage because they are certified in this particular area, right? So we got to understand what makes us weak, right? What is restricting us, what can restrict us in 2024 from growing revenues, right? What opportunities do you recognize to help grow your 2024 revenues, right? What opportunities do we see? Opportunities for capturing new customers, growing technologies, new systems and processes that we can put into place, right? And are there any threats which may prohibit you from achieving your revenue goals in 2024? Now, I must state, strengths and weaknesses are internal to the organization, right? Those are the things that you impact, right, as the business owner. Opportunities and threats are external to the organization. They're caused by the environment, right? So the environment now motivates what happens to your business, and it impacts what happens to your business. So we have to have an understanding of what impacts us as our strengths and weaknesses, which are internal to the organization, and what impacts us from opportunities and threats as external to the organization. And we're going to look at some examples, all right? So an example of a SWOT analysis when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, right? So capabilities, right? If someone is coming to you and they say, hey, you're a t-shirt designer, you're a manufacturer, if you're someone who is helping with a deliverable, do you have the capabilities, right? And do you have the right technologies in place? Do you have the right systems in place to help you grow that revenue? So you got to look at your capabilities. Are we capable of doing it? That's the question you got to ask. And you got to be upfront with your clients. The clients are coming to you to do something. You got to ask, you got to let them know, I don't have the capability of doing this. Either you don't have the technologies, the right technologies in place, the right processes, or it's not within your scope. I get a lot of people that come to me about accounting work, doing bookkeeping. I don't have those capabilities because I'm not an accountant. And I am not going to deceive anyone to make them think that, yes, I'll take their money and I'll try to finagle my way through doing bookkeeping and record keeping. I don't do those things. I usually farm that out to an accountant, right? Because an accountant would handle that, right? Market reach, right? Your strength, you might have great market reach because the marketing plan and the marketing, the advertising that you're doing is superior enough to your competitor to where you're reaching a greater number of your market, right? A greater portion of your market. The expertise, you have greater expertise, know-how, right? Your working capital, you have money. Your pricing is right, all right? If you're looking at your weaknesses, not enough skilled staff, you might not have enough skilled people for particular projects. Your technology might be outdated, right? So once your technology is outdated, it won't give you the competitiveness you need, right, in the marketplace, right? Still operating with a manual process, right? You're still doing manual stuff, right? And not really automating your processes, right? Automation will help you do it faster and more efficient rather than doing it manually, right? Not enough years in the market. You're new to the market, right? And that's understandable, right? And that can be a weakness. You're new to the market. So as you're new to the market still doesn't know you that well. They're still familiarizing themselves with you, your products and service. But as you grow in market exposure, you start gaining more customers, and the market will gain more familiarity with you, right? Becoming more familiar with what you offer, or you're just not competitive enough. If you're not competitive, then chances are your business will begin to decline, and you will have to either sell it, close out, transition it, do some sort of succession planning or whatever the case may be, right? So we got to look at the SWOT analysis. You have to be honest with your strengths, honest with your weaknesses. And just as you're doing that, looking at opportunities and threats, here are some examples. AI technology, right? An opportunity now is AI technology and new software. AI technology will help me reach the depth of marketing I need to explore my target market, right? The algorithms, the processes, the instructions, the calculating that it does, that the technology does, is far greater than I can ever do, right? And it will definitely give me the data I need to ensure my competitiveness, right? New software, right? There's new software on the market that I'm going to purchase for my business, right? Positive economic shifts. You might see positive economic shifts, right? Where the economy continues to grow. And as it's growing, the industry in which you are operating is also growing, right? Customers, your market, your target market is spending money. People are in the economy is healthy. Disposable income is in the economy. It's great, right? We see new key players in the market, increases the competitiveness, but that means more people are coming into the market to shop. Certifications or licenses, right? That will give you a greater advantage as well. Market demand, right? We see market demand because the economy is healthy. Once we see those positive economic shifts, the economy is healthy. So market demand suggests that we can, once you see the market is growing, once you see the economy is growing, you can now invest more or put more money in your marketing plan and your marketing strategies, right? And threats. Economic decline can definitely constrict your revenue. As the market contracts, right? It's not growing. It's the market stopped growing. Not the market, but the economy stops growing. So now the economy now is starting to contract, right? So as it contracts, there's less money, right? Less activity in the marketplace. So we got to study. That's why I'm saying the economic study, the economic analysis is so important that we have to understand what is driving customers, what's driving disposable income, what's going to drive success for us in 2024. So these are the things that we have to understand if we're really serious about growing revenues in 2024. Diminish the disposable income in the economy, right? If disposable income is diminishing, right? There's less money being spent in the economy. Of course, there's less money being spent with you. Less projects being, brought onto the marketplace, right? During COVID, we saw the ARPA funds, we saw an infrastructure bill. So that really helped a lot of businesses by causing an infusion of money into the economy, right? So we really saw businesses start to pick up, and a new breath of fresh air being breathed into the economy. So we're looking at that. Political decisions, change in leadership, right? We're looking at some folks in political leadership may support certain programs, and others may support other programs. And then there's some programs that may be dropped, right? Budget line items may be removed from some of these programs. And you might be a service oriented business providing a service for a particular program. And if the budget for that program is dropped, then hey, that really diminishes your revenue potential, right? A regulation, right? Licensing or permits, right? When government creates regulation, again, regulation can restrict your revenue, and it can really diminish the amount of revenue you can generate. I know restaurants. I go through this with restaurants and event spaces, right? If you're a restaurant, you're in an event space, you want to be able to serve alcohol in your facility. But if you are not licensed to sell alcohol, or not sell, but serve alcohol, if you're not licensed to have alcohol served at your restaurant or in your event space, what does that do? That diminishes the amount of revenue that you can realize, right? So until you apply for that alcohol license, or until your business is zoned for a particular business that where you can have alcohol served, then chances are you're gonna realize a minimum amount of revenue until you have that, right? Environmental climate disaster. We saw with COVID-19, you have earthquakes, natural disasters like hurricanes that can threaten a business's success. So all of these things have to be considered when we're looking at 2024, right? And anything that can impact your business positively or negatively, again, because it's all about growing revenues, right? The economic analysis, right? When we're doing our economic analysis, we're looking at what is the overall economic outlook for 2024, right? You could go on to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You could go on the Better Business Bureau. You can go on to any website, the Small Business Administration, Small Business Development Center, and you can do research. You can go into your public library and do research on the economic outlook for 2024, right? University of Georgia just came out with their economic analysis. The Selig Center for Economic Development, they just came out with their economic outlook for 2024. And, they're looking at GDP. The GDP of the state was at 3%, in 2023. What they're predicting or projecting for 2024 is 1.1%, right, of GDP growth. The measure of all goods, the output of goods and services being produced in the state, right? And even though the prediction is, hey, 1.1% is much less than 3% in 2023, the economy is still growing, but it's growing at a slower rate, right? And it's still above the national average. National GDP is 0.8%, right? So understanding, okay, all right, so if GDP is still growing, if we still see a growth in our economy, albeit at a slower pace, there's still demand out there for products and services, right? Projects are still being initiated. So then, folks can go out there and work on projects. Entrepreneurs can start businesses and so on and so forth. They'll see positive growth, right? So the economic outlook, definitely, I implore all my entrepreneurs, all my small business owners to please understand what the economy is doing and what it's going to do in 2024 so you can make your decisions. Do economic forecasts predict strong industry performances and growth for 2024? Yes, they do, right? For the state of Georgia, and also nationally, right? And again, also growing at a slower rate. The economic forecast will help you understand how your industry, not just the economy, but the industry in which you operate is growing, right? Will consumers have the purchasing power or disposable income to support your revenue goals for 2024? That is something that you will have to determine based on your economic study, right? What is the supply chain delivery outlook, right? For those of you who are running restaurants, you're running cafes, you have a business that relies on a strong supply chain system, right? Delivery from manufacturer to distributor, all the way to the end user, who happens to be you. You want to make sure gas prices, we're looking at gas prices, right? The prediction is that gas prices may come down a little bit in 2024, right? 2024 is an election year, right? So depending upon who is elected as president, again, remember we looked at the threats and the SWOT analysis, depending upon political leadership, that determines whether gas prices go up, go down, whatever, right? So we have to look at the shifts in the cost of gas, right? If you're running a delivery service, right? Your delivery service relies on gas, right? So we have to monitor that. Look at what the economy is doing. Look at the gas prices, because if you're relying on shipments to your restaurant, your bars, your manufacturing plant, of course, the trucking companies that are responsible, and they're part of that supply chain link. What they're going to do, those higher fuel costs, what do? They put it back into the cost of delivery, right? So you'll see higher prices being put back onto the end user. So we got to understand how that is going to play out in 2024, right? Pay attention to consumer choices, right? What are consumers buying? What are they spending money on? Where are they spending their money? Online sales are at a higher rate over the last with the exception of COVID. Online sales have been skyrocketing and outpacing sometimes sales in bricks and mortars, because it's easier to just sit behind a computer. It's easier to sit and have your smartphone and go on to Amazon or go on to Macy's online or Walmart online and do all your shopping. So just pay attention, because if you have a bricks and mortar and you're relying on customers walking through the door, if you're relying on foot traffic, of course, if you're running a restaurant, they're not going to buy a dinner online. They're not going to buy food online, right? They can ask for delivery and through Uber Eats and Grubhub, but chances are people are coming into a restaurant to eat. But just pay attention to where consumers are spending the money and how they're spending their disposable income, and be able to make your decisions, right? Do a technology review. Is your technology robust? Do you have the right technology in place? Your website, your computer systems, your wireless systems, the software that you need, right, in order to keep up with your competitors and keep up with your clients, right? Or do you need to revamp or revise your technology, update your technology? Outdated technology can constrict your revenue as well. So just definitely determine if the technology you're currently using, determine if it's working well for you, right? Software optimization. You might need to do a software optimization, optimize your point of sales software, your point of sale system that does your inventory, that tracks your inventory, tracks your deliveries, and so on and so forth. If you're using accounting software, if you are a financial analyst, you're using financial software, accounting software. If you are a web designer and you're using different types of software to develop marketing material and websites, determine if the current technology you're using is giving you the advantage you need competitively, right? And going to help you grow your revenues in 2024. Better virtual meeting platform technology with increased capabilities, right? I do a lot of stuff on Zoom, right? And although during 2020 and 2021, I did virtual conferences for 2 to 3 days in 2020 and 2021, right? If I wanted to do a larger scale conference with meeting rooms and breakout sessions and so on and so forth, I wouldn't do it on Zoom. I mean, maybe Zoom has come a long way since 2020, right? But I would have to look to more like Cvent. Cvent has been designed specifically for conference event planners like myself and conference planners like myself. So better virtual meeting platform, maybe like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, right? You have Google Meets, right? If you're used to doing online meetings and virtual meetings with your clients, definitely consider the technology platform that will make you more efficient, right? A lot of them come now with whiteboards, and they come with so much different capabilities that you can do so much more that you could before the pandemic. And the pandemic really introduced a lot of that, because I was Skyping before the pandemic. I didn't even know much about Zoom. When the pandemic hit, then I forgot all about Skype and, introduced myself to Zoom. So definitely look at those virtual meeting platform technology that's out there for you. Look at your technology review, do a technology review plan. You can sit with someone like your web designer, whoever designs your website, whoever, works with you on social media. You want to be able to have them do a review or an audit, right? An audit of your technology or your overall technology. So this way you'll know that you're using good technology to keep yourself competitive, right? HR headcount, analyze whether you need to increase your staff in 2024, right? The more hands you have in your business, the greater opportunities you have for growing revenues, right? Analyze whether you need to reduce staff, right? If you need to reduce staff, then what you're doing, you're saving on costs, right? Because that's less that's less costs than you would have if you have more headcount, right? I know some people, I know layoff is a dirty word, like laying off someone or downsizing. But sometimes, as business owners, we have to make those hard decisions, right? We can save on costs by maybe reducing our staff by 1 or 2 people or whatever, right? Depending upon how large your staff size is, right? So definitely consider that. Analyzing whether you need to contract out any function of your organization to be more efficient or get that expert needed to improve a specific area of your business, right? We can't do everything, right? And there are experts out there who can help you with their expertise because they are the authority in that particular area, right? Like there was one point where I actually was, managing my own website. I had to outsource that, right? Outsource my social media, right? I had to, outsource my video editing, because it was just time consuming, right? It was keeping me back. So just see what functions you have in your business, and you may need to outsource that to someone who is the authority in that particular area, right? Offer incentives to employees or prospects, right? You offer incentives to employee, they'll feel far much more greater to go the extra mile for you, right? And do the extra things for you. They'll help you generate that revenue. To your prospects, offer incentives to your prospects to do business with you, right? Discounts, right? You offer discounts. You offer maybe a gift basket. Thank you for doing business with me. You may send a client a gift certificate or something like that, or a gift card, right? All these things help, right? To really grow your revenue. There's so many different aspects. Since we started this presentation, we talked about revenue, we talked about the P&L, we talked about marketing strategies, digital technologies, AI. Now we're looking at headcount, right? There's so many different aspects to your business on how you grow revenues, and we have to be responsible entrepreneurs and making sure that we're doing that, okay? Networking, right? Networking, exposure. Again, I can't say it enough. The more you have, the more you place yourself out there for people to know what you're doing and who you are. Relationship building is so key, right? This is one of the reasons why I look forward to getting away from these virtual presentations and getting out and doing, getting back to doing in-person events, because this picture here is a picture from one of my conferences, and just the feel of being in the company of someone and looking someone in the eye and having that one-on-one, or you're in a groups of whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and you're discussing. This is how the collaborations come. This is how the customers come. This is how partnerships are shaped, right? So look at chamber events, right? Look at networking socials, right? General and industry specific, right? The general meaning, you just go to a networking event, everybody will be there, right? If you are a financial analyst, you might go to a networking event just for financial analysts, right? Financial analysts, accountants, financial advisors, financial people, numbers people, right? You might go to that. You might go to a networking social for people in technology, people who are web designers, people who are AI, software developers, so on and so forth. Those are the networking events that offer more specificity, because it's more specific, right, to the industry you're in and the work you do. You might go to a contractor networking event where you're meeting other contractors. For those of you who are minority business enterprise, disadvantaged business enterprise, women business owners, veteran business enterprise, Hispanic business owners, so on and so forth. You might go to those minority contracting events for government contractors, right? The Government Contractors Association here in Georgia, they offer events like that. The SBA offers events like that. Chambers, area chambers, whether it's the Gwinnett Chamber, the Atlanta Chamber, Cobb Chamber, Forsyth, Rockdale County Chamber, Henry County Chamber. Definitely find events where you can get out and get the exposure you need, right? Opportunities to speak. Create opportunities where you're a keynote speaker, right? Or where you're doing workshop presentations, right? Get yourself in front of an audience, right? Entrepreneurship is not for introverts, right? You can be introverted if you have to lock yourself away, and work on something, and you have someone else, out there who's the face of the company. But entrepreneurship growth, revenue growth works well when you are extroverted, you're out there, right? And meeting people, workshops, seminars, conferences, you're exhibiting, you're setting up to exhibit and showcasing your business. You're showcasing what you do as a business owner. You're showcasing your services and your products, right? So you want to give yourself every chance to put yourself in front of an audience, put yourself in front of people. I do a lot of that, right? And it helps me. It helps me with making contacts, right? Build your contacts, business cards, right? Many of you now have the QR codes where you're pulling up the QR code and folks can just scan it and go right to your website, right? But if you're still using business cards, like me, you're an old dinosaur like me, like I have my QR code on my business card, and it goes, anyone can scan my QR code and go directly to my website, right? I'm designing in 2024, I'm designing new pull-up banners. On my pull-up banner will have my QR code. My table cover will have my QR code. You know, I'm going to have my badge is going to have my QR code. So definitely create that opportunity for networking, gauge your ROI. Definitely look at, like about 10 networking events per month. Some people do more, some people do less, but just make sure you get out there, right? And have a plan. Have a plan. I plan to grow my contacts by 100 people this month or 200 people this month. All right. Gauge how your return on investment is going. You're paying, because some events are paid events, some are free events, right? It's an investment. It's an investment you're making. So make sure that you're again giving yourself every possible chance to get your business the exposure that it needs, right? That will ensure you revenue growth for 2024 as well. Okay. And again, have a plan. Just like we're talking about strategy planning, have a networking plan. That networking plan can be a component in your overall strategy plan for 2024. All right. Okay. Okay. So sales forecasting, draft your sales budget, right? Your plan for selling, right? How much of your service are you going to sell? How much of your products are you going to sell in order to generate revenue? Track your sales revenue monthly, track it quarterly, and then to determine how you're growing, right? Analyze sales trends for the last 2.5 years, right? Analyze market trends. What is the market? What are people buying? Again, are my services relevant? How strong are my services, right? How strong are my products in the marketplace, right? Are people buying, right? Are sales increasing in this particular area, right? You want to also look at your sales strategy. Again, for those of you who have drafted your P&L for the previous 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, however long you've been in business, it's easy for you to track and see if you're growing, or if you're declining, or the different shifts in your sales and revenue and the expenses that the costs you're incurring to do business. All right. Forecast should reflect sales projections for each service or product. Forecast should reflect online sales as well as the sales from bricks and mortar. So if you are a bricks and mortar, if you have a physical space, but you also sell online, you want to track your sales from online. You want to track your online sales, and you want to track the sales from your physical space, your bricks and mortar, and to see if one is greater than the other, if they're running parallel. Because sometimes you have to decide now, okay, I'm doing so well online, maybe I need to divert more of my business online than, I'm not realizing that greater foot traffic is costing me to rent this building. It's the overhead, for this building is high. So maybe I'll take more of my business online, right? But these are decisions you got to make. Forecast should reflect online sales as well as bricks and mortar. Look at inferior products and services versus those which are in high demand, right? If you have different revenue streams, look at the services you're providing. Which one is stronger than the other? Products. Which ones are stronger than the other? Which products sell fast off the shelf than other products, right? That's another way of growing revenues, is eliminating services and eliminating product lines, those that are not doing well, right? Lead generation. You want to exercise lead generation. Generate your leads. You want to qualify your leads, and you want to plan for those leads, right? I use a funnel system, a sales funnel system, and the concept of a funnel system is that, you're here. I use an example of, let's say for the month, you secure 1,000 business cards, right? Does this mean that you're going to do business with all 1,000 people? No, not necessarily. I mean, probably you will, but not necessarily. So out of those 1,000 business cards, you may identify 650 leads, right? From those 1,000 business cards you collected. So that means these are 650 people you might do business with, right? So from those 650 people, 225 of them said, oh, yeah, send me a quote or send me some information. I want to do business with you, right? And out of the 225 people, 50 people became your clients, right? You have action that's created, right? So from 1,000 business cards you collected in that month, you ended up doing business with 50 people, right? Now, does that mean that the other 950 people you're not going to do business with? Not necessarily, because the next month or the next quarter, I've had people, hey, do business with me like a year or 2 years after meeting them. After my initial meeting with them, 2 years later, they say, hey, Austin, you're still providing this service, right? Yeah, yes, I am. I want to do business with you. Or I've seen your video, and from your video, I know I need your service, right? They might not do business with you right there and then, but at some point in time, they're going to come back and do business with you, right? So develop a system where you're tracking your sales, right? You want to track your sales. You want to draft your sales budget. Again, we want to be responsible entrepreneurs. We want to be able to do the finances, do the financials, right? Put our budgets together, right? And look at our budget. Look at the way a budget is just a plan for spending money. We want to look at how we're spending money and where we're spending it, right? So we want to do that analysis. All right. So we're coming down to the end of this thing. And again, we'll have time at the end for Q&A, right? The financial analysis. Draft your budget to understand where your money will be spent in 2024, right? Draft your 2024 profit and loss statement. Do your profit and loss statement. People, I can't say this enough. I implore you, do your profit and loss statement. Stop operating off of invoices and bank statements and so on and so forth, and put together a profit and loss statement that outlines your profits, your revenues, your expenses, your cost of goods sold or your cost of doing business, and your net profits, because you want to make sure that you're generating net profits from the revenues, minimizing as much expenses as possible so that you have a healthy bottom line, right? The revenues will be your top line. Your bottom line will be your net profits, okay? So you want to do that. Do you need to sell assets from your business to generate urgently needed cash? You might have assets in your business that you might want to sell. You might become cash strapped. And instead of trying to secure a loan, which is securing debt and having a cost of the loan in the form of interest, you might have assets from your business you may want to sell, right? Look at your balance statement. Your accountant should be able to create a balance statement where you have those short-term assets, you have those long-term assets. Short-term assets are assets on the balance sheet that can be converted to cash in under a year, in 12 months. In a 12-month period, you can have those assets converted to cash if you need to build up your working capital, right? Same thing with receivables, right? And looking at your receivables, if you operate on terms where you're doing like a net 30 or a net 45 or a net 15, God forbid, not a net 90, because you don't want to wait 90 days for your payments to come in, right? So you want to, you want to make sure that your payments are coming in within 30 days, a month. If you want to do an extension, maybe add on 15 days and make it a net 45, right? But, I always tell my clients, stick to a net 15 and net 30, because the more money you have coming in, the faster you have your customers paying you, the more you're able to pay your employees. You can take care of your expenses, and you can realize revenue for your business. All right, because you too have cost responsibilities and payments that you've got to make. So just make sure that's being done, right? And again, we're going to recap, right? We're going to recap from the presentation. Set your revenue goals for 2024 now. When this is December 13th. Make sure that before January 2024, you are setting your revenue goals for 2024. Establish a plan to lay out your strategy for 2024 now, right? If you haven't started doing it, please make sure you have a plan. Make sure you set those goals and get that done now, right? Think market exposure. How much more do I need to advertise and promote? How much more of my dollars do I need to invest in digital marketing, traditional marketing, enhancing my website to make sure that I'm giving myself every possible opportunity to grow revenues in 2024, right? Adding video messages, right? Constant contact, creating those databases to reach out, growing your customer relations management, growing your customer base, growing your customer contacts, right? Use your SWOT analysis to determine growth in 2024. We discussed it briefly, so make sure you're using your SWOT analysis, right? Study economic shifts, which impacts your business and decisions, right? Being responsible entrepreneurs mean studying economic shifts, looking at the economic outlook for the next coming months, quarters, and year to determine now what decisions I'm going to make in order to invest in growing my business, right? Know your personnel needs, right? Do I need to add people? Do I need to contract out? Do I need to add headcount, right? Get with an HR consultant if you need to determine which way you need to go in order to consider growing headcount, right? Technology is the backbone of your business. Make sure your technology is up to date. Make sure the software, your technological infrastructure is they're giving you the best advantage to grow your revenues in 2024. Your financial health is critical for success. So make sure that you're working with an accountant. The accountant is helping you keep organized. Make sure if you're not using Excel spreadsheets to keep track, use QuickBooks. QuickBooks will help you with your invoicing and if you have employees to pay. But make sure you're using technology and make sure you're using the right resources to give yourself every chance possible to grow successfully in 2024. We want to be responsible. We want to be successful in 2024. All right. And that concludes my presentation. This is my contact information. If there's ever a need to reach out to me beyond this presentation, you have my contact information here. For those of you who registered, I will email this presentation to you. Please take down my email address, my contact information. If you don't see this, by the end of the weekend, reach out to me and say, hey, Austin, I attended your workshop, your virtual workshop. I didn't get a copy of the presentation. Can you send me a copy of the presentation and I'll send it to you, right? And at this time, I will entertain any questions. Just unmute your mic and let's have a discussion. Comments, questions? This is a good time to ask questions right now. I know we're at the 7:30 mark, but if anybody has a question, you can ask questions. All right. If there are no questions, no comments, can anybody unmute and just tell me if you're doing any strategy planning for 2024 at this moment? Anybody doing a strategy plan besides me? Is anybody on here now doing any strategy planning for 2024? Nobody. All right. Anybody planning to use this information to do strategy planning for 2024? Unmute your mic. And just give me a yeah. Okay, I see a thumb. I see a thumbs up. All right, you guys are kind of quiet tonight. All right, well, I see another thumb. That's great. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining. There will be a link to this presentation on my YouTube channel. And I will send this out to all those who registered. I have your email addresses. I just want to say thank you for joining tonight and, being a part of this presentation. I wish you all immense success in 2024. Business ownership is not easy. Entrepreneurship is not easy. But, I want you all to know that there are resources and tools out there for us to grow successfully as entrepreneurs. And, we just have to recognize, what's at our disposal, what's within our reach in order to grow successfully. And if you experience success this year, that's phenomenal, And if you're looking to grow success more in 2024, that's even great. All right. So I just want to wish you and your families a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and just look out for more webinars and more initiatives in 2024. All right. Take care and have a good holiday. Thank you.